Do you play with stiff wrists like this? But you want to play smoothly like this? Well, in this short video, we're going to give you the top 3 tips you'll need to start playing piano like a pro.
Alright, so the first technique we're going to go over is the wrist drop. What essentially that is when you take your wrist, right, on the keyboard, you lift it up very, like in this sort of slow, controlled fashion, and then you drop it back down in a similar way. And you sort of just go like this, over and over. You see how my arm and my elbow are sort of flowing together? It's in one controlled movement. You're not going to be like, sort of like this. You want it to be slow, steady, controlled. So you can play the note.
So what's the opposite of a wrist drop?
The opposite of a wrist drop, I guess, would be like if you were to go like fully stiff, like your wrist is as if this is like one lever, and just play like this. That would be, I guess, the opposite.
So what we're doing with the wrist drop is pretty much essentially we're doing like the wave, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because the opposite of the wave is like, you do this, you're like the
robot,
Flappy Bird.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So we're trying to do the wave, but on the piano.
Essentially, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But do we feel that it extends all the way from our fingertips and does this type of motion? Like, where's the focal point of this movement?
Well, the focal point is going to come from mainly the wrist and the elbow. So the elbow lifts it up, and your wrist sort of, I guess you can imagine it's like dragging behind. And then as the elbow goes back down, it sort of, again, sort of counteracts the movement a little bit. So you have this sort of gesture, I guess.
Right, so it's split into 3 parts. The elbow, the wrist, and the fingers, right?
Yeah.
It's always elbow lifts, and then our wrist follows, and then elbow down, wrist follows, and then finger drops.
Yeah.
Okay, should I give it a try?
Yeah.
Right, feels like and then this with soft wrists.
All right, so the second tip is to incorporate jumps into your wrist drop. This will sort of help you develop more of like a flowing movement between the notes now. Because in the first tip, you realize we just sort of went up and down with notes that were beside each other. But now if we have a big jump in between the notes, you sort of get your wrist used to moving between them as well. This would be a bad jump. You see how the jump is mostly focused on the fingers right now? I'm using the finger to press down on the note and using the finger to essentially find the note and hit it. But what we want to sort of get used to doing is have the wrist be the one that carries the fingers over so the fingers can sort of just naturally land on the note without forcing its way to the note.
What does that mean, forcing its way to the note? Right now, earlier you were moving with the fingers.
Yeah.
Right? So if your wrist comes over it, then your fingers just drop and doesn't use that strength?
Well, you're using the wrist drop on it, right? So the strength or the power is coming sort of from the up-down motion of your wrist as we practice in the first tip.
I see. So you're using momentum to hit the note instead of self-generated force.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like this, you see how my wrist is bouncing in between each note? I'm still able to hit it with power, I'm still able to hit it with precision, but that's because my wrist is now carrying my fingers over instead of my fingers sort of finding the note on its own.
Right. Okay, so when I'm doing the wrist bounce, what is the focus I'm feeling on? It feels like it's bouncing off the keys each time?
Not bouncing off necessarily, the focus should be using the momentum to drop onto the key, like we did in the first one, right? You don't want to bounce off like this.
So I'm not bouncing off, I'm more bouncing on.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, bouncing on.
Yeah. Yeah,
like
that looks good. So for the regular bounce we have it, the curve will be like this. For the side to side, we want it to be a little more like this. You still have a curve.
Okay.
But you want it to be traveling between the notes.
More travel and less distance like this.
Exactly.
Okay, So for this, we're not stretching our fingers, right? We're just letting our wrist move the position.
Yeah, better, yeah. All right, so the third tip now would be to use it in arpeggios, which I think is like the best way to practice wrist movement, but also this time we're sort of mitigating the bounce and instead taking what we learned from having the wrist be relaxed, having the wrist be sort of flexible, and applying it to like a passage where you sort of just flow up and down the piano. So I'll demonstrate what it looks like the wrong way first. And then
That's
this is
played solely with the fingers.
Yeah, pretty much. So you can see each finger is just doing its own thing. My wrist is just being brought along for the ride, right? And now we're gonna have my wrist be the one that brings my fingers up and down. Yeah, so in this case, what the difference was, the wrist is sort of bringing the fingers as it goes. You see, it's like sort of carrying the fingers over rather than the fingers dictating where it goes. In that case.
So how I understand this is actually less of tension in the wrist. It's if we prevent tension in the fingers, then our wrist has to be smooth.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Because first of all, if we have tension in our fingers, our wrist has to tense, right? But if our fingers are relaxed and your wrist is still tense, well, actually they're together. You can't tense one without tensing the other.
It's true, yeah, because I guess, yeah, you're right, because the muscles extend literally from your forearm down to your fingers, right? So if you tense your fingers, automatically this whole section just tense.
Right. And does this apply to all playing? We want the wrist to always be our vehicle of movement?
For fast passages, yes. For like some stuff like where it's like a, right? Something in the left hand was a big octave and you're sort of going down.
Right.
It's okay to have more tension
Okay.
in your fingers in that case. But for passages where you want to be smooth, delicate, yet still really fast, you need to eliminate that tension.
Right. But for fast passages, it's easy when our hands are small, right? Playing notes like this. What if we need to play passages that requires us to extend our fingers? Doesn't our fingers naturally start to get tense and our wrists start to get tense?
What example of a passage is that?
Oh, what about the entertainer?
Oh, you mean this one? Okay, I mean, you could. Yeah, okay. I think in that case, yeah. So the tip that we're giving right now is more focused for like fast, sort of one note passages, right?
For example?
Or like, right?
Okay.
You want something that's a little more just focused on like a run, basically. For octaves, like I mentioned with the left hand, if you have octaves in the right hand too, likely it'll probably be a little more, it'll have a little more tension. Just the nature of playing octaves, your fingers stretched out like this, it's pretty hard to have zero tension.
Right.
Especially if you're trying to play it loudly, right?
So we want to split it in two parts. One is for octaves, we want to have more tension and force. And then for fast notes, this is when we start applying.
Yeah, for playing fast passages, you want to eliminate tension basically.
All right, let me give it a try.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll do it with stiff wrist, which is... When I think of stiff wrist, I just imagine I'm playing purely with my fingers.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay? And then now I'm going to imagine I'm just moving my hand with my wrist and letting my fingers drop onto the key.
Yeah. So good, but don't have the lift off when you do your cross under.
This is where the
This is
soft
where the wrist
wrist
movement comes in.
also,
Yeah,
it also
yeah.
helps turn notes over.
Exactly.
Right, because if I don't turn it over, then I have to make
Yeah,
this
then
jump.
Better. Yeah, that's better.
For arpeggios, we don't want to lift off at all.
Yeah, you
run
want it
it
to
like
be one continuous, as if you had your hands crossed over like this. Like you just
Oh.
can't tell. Yeah.
So what they can do is start to build up like this until they get it, and then go up more.
Sure. Yeah.
Now this is easy when we're just doing arpeggios, but how do we apply it to music? So one song, let's think of a simple song. Maybe for Elise, you can apply this.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for Elise, all one note. So stiff
Yeah.
wrist would look something like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now soft wrist. One thing I'm still having trouble understanding is where is my focal point of soft wrist? Is it just my wrist moving freely?
Yeah. So the focal point still would be to have your wrist be relaxed, but the point of having your wrist relaxed is that so it can bring your fingers to the right notes.
Right.
So as long as your wrist is relaxed, then you can sort of start focusing. Okay, it's going here to these notes, these notes, these notes.
So
here.
my wrist in a song like for Elise, where it is legato, is constantly relaxed. There is no point of tension, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's give it a try. I'm gonna play without pedal to make it more obvious.
Sure. Yep, good. Actually, so that was good. Your right hand was doing it really well. I feel like for Elise in particular, it could also apply to the left hand.
Right.
The left hand is just single notes up and down, right? Yes. Yeah. I noticed your left hand was a little stiff doing
Okay.
those.
One more time.
Nice. Yeah. Sounded better.
Those are the 3 tips to get rid of wrist tension and start playing piano more smoothly. If you're able to apply all 3 tips, you should be able to play piano like this. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our next video over here.